Welcome back. Love Boat Project, episode 23. Ahoy. Mike Robertson, my co-host. 23, huh?
I just want to say, I know we're almost done. Like we have one more episode and then the stubbies for this season, but we have one more actual episode to watch for season 1, which is amazing. And I gotta tell you, we are crawling to the finish line with some of these episodes. So
It's weird to me. I don't know why. In my mind, I thought the closer you get to the end of the season, does that mean like the quality ramps up? In my mind, that season finale's got to be strong to make you want to come back.
right.
So I never imagined that 23 would be whatever it is. I don't even. There's a lot. There's a lot. It's a lot of things
I
I
think
don't
that
like in the Love Boat.
I feel like I'm being jerked around in a way too, because we saw how good 22 was last time
Yeah,
out. Different setup in terms of just one real storyline, one writer, and all that
sure,
stuff.
sure.
But then that is sandwiching or sandwiched by, however we're thinking about this. It's the meat in the shit sandwich that's been
It
these
really is.
last
It really is.
these 21 and 23. The fact that I had to go back 2 whole episodes to find out what the worst episode was when I was writing my notes this week. Not a great finish for the season here. So
No, just boy, in my mind, I'm like, okay, as long as that season finale just blows us away, I'm like, okay, as long as it's worth it, I'm gonna trust Aaron Spelling, get us there, because
I
Captain
do
Stubing's not
wonder.
gonna get us there.
Well, we mentioned it last week. There have been like some weird scheduling quirks, or like just
Yeah,
in terms of flow and all that stuff. Like if next week stinks or is underwhelming, there's a world where 22 was supposed to be the season finale because that just was
could
the
be.
exact action of the season
It,
finale, as opposed to whatever the hell this thing was this week.
just throwing stuff on a wall. I feel like these were all leftover stories. These were all third stories.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well,
Anyway, stay
yeah.
tuned to hear us
Yeah,
talk
stay
about
tuned.
this.
Here we go. We're gonna dig into this shit sandwich. Here we go. Yeah, wow. If you loved episode 21, then you'll love episode 23. Uh Episode titled The Business of Love. Ugh. Crash Diet Crisis. I'll never fall in love again. Original air date May 13th, 1978. What's on?
And
Interesting.
whatever else is on,
Yeah,
we should have watched
we
it.
should have watched it.
Whatever this is going to be. This could be like a Mannix marathon. This could
Well,
be some movie, anything.
if we were hanging out and there were two different shows on, Love Boat at 9, Knowing What We Know,
Yeah.
or a movie on CBS called Break Hard Pass with Charles Bronson and Richard Crenna.
Wow.
Right. Western mystery centering on an enigmatic character brought aboard a train under arrest by a marshal. Very vague description.
Those, yeah, but those, yeah, you know who is playing who in those roles.
Yep.
So.
So there's that. Or now this isn't a movie. It's classified as a 2-hour episode. They do another 2-hour Columbo on NBC.
Oh, back-to-back Columbos, right?
Yeah. So, and in this one, Irish Whiskey, a hard drinking Irish poet, and a book of Irish verse with a cryptic inscription are the only elements Lieutenant Columbo has to work with to solve the slaying of a gun runner. Much more detail in that description than there was in Break Hard Pass.
Do you think the Irish poet is Tennyson from the Plumber Poet?
Yeah,
Lord
absolutely in
Byron?
the shadows,
Yeah.
writing verses in the dark. Breakdown. This is the synopsis again from the TV guide itself. A reformed prostitute causes trouble between a one-time customer and his wife.
No.
That's not it at all.
Wrong.
Wow, that's way off, right?
That's aggressively wrong.
Well, that's 0 for 1. Captain Steubing re-encounters an old flame.
Yeah, I mean, re-encounters is a weird word, but
But the episode is the crash diet crisis. Like they don't even a fun-loving older couple help bring two lovers back together. That's not
what?
it at all.
No, that's no.
That's not it at all.
Where did you get that from?
It's an old TV guide, like the what's on a certain date, and you go in and it
So
gives
that
you
would
the
have
database.
been that's terrible.
I can't believe that's
That
that's the
third one
worst
is
one.
somehow that third explanation is worse than the first explanation. They were never former lovers. They weren't even lovers in this
No, they
episode.
didn't even
They
know
were
each other.
they
They
were
didn't leave as
boring
lovers.
and
Nothing happened.
moody.
Yeah, they just were a
Oh,
bunch of
man, even TV
buzzkills.
Guide even TV Guide
They
was
didn't
like,
watch
"Nope,
it. They didn't watch
whatever."
this episode.
They watched
We
the
heard it
first
was bad.
they watched the first 5 minutes. It was like, she's a hooker.
Nope. Yep.
Stupid
Hooker,
re-encountered this person.
ex-hooker, boat, not yeah, it was
I'm sure Annette Funicello is fun there.
ugh. Guest stars this week. Now, let's start with Maury Amsterdam. He played Mr. Mo Price. Was on the Dick Van Dyke Show from 61 to 66. Was a comedian known as the human joke machine for his ability to come up with a joke on any subject. We will
Not
see
a
him again in 1982.
a little bit of a long wait for Maury there.
Yeah, yeah. You can never have maybe it's easy to have too much Maury Amsterdam. Like a
I will
little MA goes a long way.
I will see, and I agree, and I think they were judicious with it, considering how little they really had this whole episode. So I'm sure you'll get to it. But Mrs. Price
Mhm.
was also on the Dick Van Dyke Show, and they were
Yes,
writers, and so I really liked that. Might be the thing I liked the most in terms of the casting and the plotting and all that stuff. Was that was a nice little hat tip for 1978, right? That's not a thing that always happened, and I do appreciate, even though we've seen varying degrees of success, I do appreciate the Love Boat's affinity for these old timey comics
I
and
agree.
old timey comedic actors and stuff like that. Like that Joey Brown, the guy from last week, the
Yeah, I
Boys
know who you're
Back
talking
Tom.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I like that's from 2 weeks ago, I guess. I can't keep
Mhm.
track. But I like when they do that. I think it does add something to it. Somebody with some chops. I mean, there was no way of saving this episode, no matter how good or bad they were. But I did like the effort. So
It's that plus it's that nostalgia feel. Like, say if that was an ABC show from X years ago and you bring these little people back or you tie these things together. And we've seen this now a couple different times with the Mary Tyler Moore,
right.
right? Like we've seen it, and I wonder if that's something we'll continue to see a little like, a little wink wink.
I mean,
I enjoyed it.
we had a third of the soap cast on a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Next we have a Michael Callan as Nate Jordan from Chester, Pennsylvania.
oh no, not the fun, not the exciting part of Chester, I
No,
guess.
no, no. I looked up it for Ray Foster. I could not find anything. Jack Carter played Ray Foster. I found nothing on that. Like,
And
nothing.
it's funny because right, he looks really familiar, right?
So familiar. But
And I was thinking the same thing. Oh, I'm gonna know him from something. And at first I thought it was the guy from Hee Haw. Like, is it
he looks so
Roy
familiar.
right?
Oh, Roy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whatever his name was.
Roy
And it's
Clark.
like, yes, Roy Clark.
Yeah,
And then I'm like, I mean, I wasn't gonna go through because it's anybody that was of this time has 3,000 credits, right? You're not gonna go through and look at everything. But
absolutely.
yeah, he was not the um
I thought he
prevalent
was
actor I thought
something.
he was just based on his look. Like, so I was wrong.
Next, Annette Funicello again became a teen idol in the Beach Party movies with Love Boat alum Mr. Frankie Avalon.
With your boy, the young and handsome Frankie
Young and
Avalon.
handsome 37-year-old Frankie Avalon, which immediately I'm thinking, well, is she the same age? She's probably younger than that.
She is 3 years younger.
Interesting.
I knew we were gonna have this conversation. But the interesting thing with her is she probably doesn't look 34, right? She probably looks older than 34, but she also
Kinda,
looks the
yeah.
same that she always did. Like,
It's the same
I didn't
hair,
know.
kinda.
I've never seen any of those beach movies, but, like, I knew Annette Funicello growing up from, like, the peanut butter commercials or whatever, like, so,
Oh, remember, yeah,
um
Jif. She was Jif.
right,
I remember
right,
that, yeah.
right, so
And it, what's weird, and we've had people on the show. Remember the fake French with the really nice nose? You had
yeah.
these people like Annette Funicello had a very plain sort of look about her, but she had like a presence too. Like you know what I
Well,
mean? Within the scene, it was interesting.
she's a very
Mm,
famous person, like, you
yeah,
always
yeah,
ask that question, like, she's
yeah,
very famous. They just gave her a garbage
yeah.
plot
Weird,
line,
man.
and, I don't think she had the gravitas to nail what they were, I guess, going for. But, like, you got Annette Funicello, man. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, like
Let's have a little fun.
are beach party movies sad movies? Is that
I mean,
why they were so successful? Come on,
they let
lighten up.
stupid Frankie Avalon have fun. Why couldn't Annette
Stupid
have fun?
robot machine. They should have given her a dating machine or any machine. All they gave her was
Okay,
just a mopey role. It's
and a joke,
awful.
and they gave her the human joke machine.
The human joke machine. This is terrible. Next, we've got Christopher George as Bill Wainwright. Love Boat royalty here, Mike.
I think I have the same note.
First of 4 Love Boat appearances.
Um, we didn't have the same note. He was married until his untimely death, um, to a lady who was on a couple weeks ago. Uh, I do not remember the character's name, but it was Leslie Nielsen's younger fiancee wife.
Uh, oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
I remember her. Wasn't her last name George? Was like
that's how it
Phyllis
worked.
George or something
It
like that?
wasn't Phyllis George. It was like something something George,
I think
but
that's Regis's wife.
mm, it's Joy
Anyway,
Philbin is Regis's
Joy
wife.
Philbin. Never mind. Uh, Karen Kay as Jill Williams. So many TV appearances. So many. I mean, just the standard guest star, guest star, guest star, guest star, guest star.
Did you
Uh,
see
hmm,
did you see the one thing, that she was in that I didn't remember her from it, but I remembered it, was
hmm.
the Jason Bateman, It's Your Move show.
Oh, I
She was the
remember that
mom.
show.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, so that took me with,
Alfonso
Steve
Ribeiro was
Darcy
on that.
with Steve Darcy as the husband.
Oh, that's why that
So,
one thing went off the air.
yeah.
Every time he shows up
He's there for like a year and he's
there
out of
for a
here,
year,
so
that's the curse. Oh, you brought up Dottie Price, played by Rose Marie, 5 seasons on the Dick Van Dyke Show. My favorite person in this list, because not from the episode, but just based on this list, is Jane Meadows. And I think she's listed as Jane Meadows Adams in this episode.
Alan.
She's the Allen. Okay. She's the older, because she's Steve Allen's wife.
Mhm.
And she's the older sister of Audrey Meadows,
Yeah.
which I thought
This
was
is a
so
very
cool.
it's almost like they were like, "Crap, we have another episode. Get the, insurance list and see who's listed as a dependent."
No
Like, we
kidding.
have to, like
No kidding. Can,
by the
that's
way,
funny. Hmm.
again, they didn't give her much to do, uh,
No, no.
but, she was no Audrey Meadows. Jane Meadows was
No,
not,
no, she's
so
no Audrey Meadows. Mm-mm. She didn't have a lot of heavy lifting.
this
Uh,
was a fun cast list, and I did not bother writing them all down because this episode did not deserve that level of effort,
no,
but this was a fun cast list to go through the IMDb, uh, information for,
completely agree.
because there were long, long, long
Mhm.
bios. And the interesting thing about Jane Meadows Allen was, I guess Steve Allen at one point was making a TV movie of Cleopatra. I don't know if it was a comedy or who knows,
Right.
or he was making a movie and he wanted her to play Cleopatra ultimately. And she's like, "Nah, I'm kind of like chilling, kind of retired now or whatever." And
Sure.
he's like, "I don't know how I could stay in the marriage if you don't do this." So
What do you do at that point?
she did it,
Well,
but weird,
yeah, that is
weird
weird.
power move there, Steve.
Wow. I don't want to be Cleopatra. Oof.
No.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Finally, Jessica Walter as Jocelyn Matthews. She played on one of my favorite shows, Lucille Bluth
Yep.
on Arrested Development. She would go on to be in a total of how many Love Boat episodes?
Now she's coming back as
Is she coming back?
the problem is like she's really good. Like I hope she wouldn't come back, but she's probably got nothing to do. So I'll say
Terrible jogger.
she'll be in 4 more.
Total of 8 when
Oh
it's all said
my.
and done. She
Wow.
might be the Love Boat queen right there. I don't know of anybody other than regular cast.
Maybe did Florence Henderson maybe hit 8? It's like that
Oh,
level of person,
she
right?
and
That's
another 8 songs. It's in her contract.
once again a good I don't want to bang on the actors too much this week. In that I want to give them another shot, right? Because I don't think there's much to
Oh,
work with here. You know,
completely agree. This is not a failure to sort of like reenact the script they were given. They did all that they could with what they were given.
so speaking of the scripts,
Mhm.
I haven't done this in a while, but again, with this episode, you had
Do
time to go
something
back
on
and
it.
look at. Yeah, right.
Sure.
So I looked at the writers of the 3 storylines.
Mhm.
Um, now, uh, we've always mentioned our guys, Art Barr and
Yep.
Ben Jolson. No, they're done
Mhm.
for the season, but
They're done.
they're the cream of the crop.
Sure.
And then we mentioned Michael Norrell, I believe, or
Yeah.
Novel or something last week, who
I
did the
remember him.
2-parter. So like we have our favorites.
Mhm.
So I was like, let me check these guys out. So the first storyline, the crash diet thing, was written by Ray Jessel, and he's popped up a lot. He's like a story editor or something like that. He pops up a lot in the credits, even if he didn't write the one of the storylines. So his name was familiar to me. Um, and he wrote Married Singles, which was the aforementioned Steve Allen Swinger one. He wrote the Hollywood Royalty, which was
Mhm.
the jewel heist, the other end of the caper, right?
Right.
And then he did one of your favorites, The Painters.
The
But then he
Painters.
also did one of the weird ones, The Sisters.
I think I know the sisters.
That's with Crazy Rose and the dental
Mm.
laboratory and all that stuff. So, okay, that's fine. And I would say
It's a bit of a body of work.
I
Okay.
would say this, as stupid as the crash diet thing is, that's a perfectly competent third, like C plot
100%.
on an average Love Boat episode,
Right,
right?
right,
That's
right.
fine. Was it great? No. But was it fine? Yes, it was fine.
But it
There were a
shouldn't
couple,
be,
yeah,
like a silver medal winning.
no.
It shouldn't be in the 2 spot of anything, well, except for one thing.
The other
Sandwich.
two,
Yeah.
the other two were trash, and so I was like, who wrote these? So, the Business of Love, which is the hooker slash Foster story,
Yeah.
was written by Howard Albrecht and Saul Weinstein. The episodes they wrote, this is a mixed bag, right?
Yeah.
So this is what they wrote this season.
Okay.
The Jinx.
Well, I like the Jinx.
You hated the
Wait,
Jinx.
wait, 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 wait. No, I didn't like the Jinx. That's with
Richard,
what's his face.
right? The Scarecrow.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
hated the
Okay.
Jinx. Romance Roulette, which we both liked very much. The
We did, yeah,
plumber,
that was
aforementioned
cool.
plumber poet, that was
That was a
good.
good one.
And then the Old Man and the Sea, which was Bootherton and the Runaway. So again, a bit of a mixed bag. Are you good or are you not? I don't know.
You're good enough to have a quality 3rd level story, I think.
Right.
Like a maybe a B level on occasion, but I don't know. It's just no consistency there. It's just kinda like so, yeah.
But the third one, which do you think they thought that the widow story was the A story?
Oof.
I don't know. I don't know what they thought.
There's nothing to it.
But do you think that's what they thought? It's got Annette Funicello. They had the comic relief in there. It ended the episode. Should have ended it
They
like an
sure
hour
did treat
before.
it. They treated although I will say in the amount of screen time that each story got this week, I thought the captain story got way too much screen time.
Well, you think anything with the captain gets too much screen
Well,
time.
no, I mean, based on the fact that the other 2 stories weren't, like, gonna carry anything. I mean, the Annette Funicello story was just, "I'm sad. Yeah, I'm sad too. Can I have this book? Sure, I'll give it back to you someday." That's the whole fuck Sorry, I almost dropped the F-bomb there. That's the whole story.
That
That's
is the
it.
whole story, though.
That's it. So it's like,
I'm gonna go to bed. All right, I also am
okay,
going to
I'll
go to
see you
bed.
later. Yeah. I thought about giving you a smooch, but people came and stood next to us. So, oh, bye. That's it.
So that great storyline was written by Ann Gibbs and Joel Kimmel,
Awful.
and they
It's lazy.
okay. So here's their three.
Hmm.
They wrote Golden Agers, which is like a bottom 10 storyline, right? I mean,
Just
absolute trash.
in the Julie portrayals a little bit. Yeah,
But then they wrote The Captain's Captain, which is stubby,
that's one of my favorites. Yeah,
right? And
might be
then
my favorite.
to kind of throw you off here, they wrote One More Time. Now, I did not remember what One More Time was. I had to look it up. You have
One
any
more
clue what One More
time.
Time was?
That's not the one where he lost it. It wasn't the double amnesia one, right?
No, this was Mitzi and Lenny.
Why do I
So that
know?
was with the where they were on the boat.
Oh,
Where, yeah, so
when she slammed the thing on his
right,
hand when he was playing the piano.
right. So like they had the
That was
ability
a
to
fun
write
one. Yeah.
half decent stuff, but not today. And my biggest concern with all of this being said
Mm.
is those last two story writers wrote next week's episode.
Oh
So
no.
we shall see.
Uh, it's funny. It's like now I'm like, okay, what's the over under on one of the story? Like more than one story being good next week, knowing
Remember at the
this.
beginning we were like the
Mm,
best episodes will have all three storylines, and it's like, man, we're just dying
mm,
for one and a half.
you're
Like,
just scraping. Wow. Well, let's dig into this sandwich. Anything else before we
nah,
hop on the
but
boat?
that was a lot of my research. Was that that premonition for next week?
Uh, well, maybe they can redeem themselves. We'll see.
Maybe this episode will be better once we talk about it.
King of the Hill? Well,
Good night, everybody.
good
Check
night.
the mailbag and call it a night.
Yes. All right, let's get on the boat here. Jill Williams is dropped off at the Love Boat Port. Again, we love the little drop
We do.
off taxi custom area by her friend Dolly. And she's trying to urge or trying to um, convince Jill to forget about the cruise so that they can go prostitute themselves, basically, with a
Yeah, I
rich
assume they're high
Texan.
end. I assume they're high end escorts, but yeah.
I just assume like the first rule about Fight Club is not to talk about Fight Club, especially in public, like all loud, saying, "Oh, it was a rich Texan and his rich oil chic friend." Like, hey, how about
Well,
Ixnay on the outlay
we're
Octay?
also about a year away from you do not want to be talking about a rich Iranian. so,
Mm,
so,
yeah,
not yet, but
not
soon.
yet.
Um, what were they talking about in the car ride that she waited until they got out of the car to try and convince her to come with her? Like,
It was like it was a super non-private conversation. It was
right,
about something.
right. It's like
Do you see
it
the
was a Roxy
new?
Blue situation. Like you had the whole ride to convince her otherwise. Like,
And you get out and start. Oh, loose lips sink ships, Dolly. I would hope you would know that.
um, there is not a worse gift you can give someone who's about to get on a boat
I don't know
than
where
just
you're going with this. Yeah.
a handful of loose oranges.
Yeah, yeah, like, "Here you go." Wouldn't you come back with them? Maybe not
Or
oranges, but
get a
fruit, like, what
bag, man.
isn't it against customs? Aren't they going to Me you can't bring American I'm sure you can't bring, like, a bowl of Ame what was
Well,
it
yeah, but
for
they're
her to
not.
eat?
You think
Like, what
they're?
was
I don't
you know
know
what
what
was
the
in those
significance
oranges.
was. Do you think that she, one of Dolly's clients was like, whoever runs the Orange Bowl, and she just had him like laying around or something like that?
Really hoping
Like
Miami gets to play this
who
year.
won the 1978 Orange Bowl? It's
It's
whoever
just
that was.
promotional. It was on ABC. It's just cross brand.
And
And they're
like,
gonna
you
carry
gotta
that
give her
same thing of oranges all the way to Miami, like, they're just gonna have that whole thing in the back of a Cadillac, and they'll drive it there, and make it there for kickoff, yeah.
a bag
She
or
gave her a
like
chalice, a metal, like
right, this is the
metal
least
arc of
convenient thing to
oranges.
carry. I don't know any I have to go up the steps. Who knows if there'll be just some dude
Oh,
just careening through the hallways. So
it's either she gave her a dumb gift, she gave her too many oranges, or Jill's just not good at carrying oranges. I think it's a combination of all 3. It was a
yeah.
bad orange vessel, but I guess maybe she didn't think food came with it, so she wanted to get scurvy or rickets like they used to. I heard you get vitamin deficiencies on ships. Like, I'm not going to be an indentured servant. It's not like that. They have
Well, I
food.
mean, I don't think Dolly had a great concept of any of this. Like, I don't think she realized that, because like all their conversation is about hooking. Like,
Yeah, she loves to talk about hooking
right. She's like, "Oh,
loudly.
you would make a fortune on this boat." Would you? The Love Boat is a lot of things,
It's not a
but
love brothel,
well, but it is. You don't have to pay for it. How many people have
right?
really struck out on the Love Boat if they were trying? Like, and so
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's funny.
it would have been fun.
Um,
I would have liked to have seen Dolly show back up because she was a lot.
yeah,
But
she
this is
was a
3
lot.
weeks. I think this is 3 weeks in a row now
Yeah.
where we've had the drop off. We've had a character do the drop off, drop some exposition, and then they're gone. They don't
Boom.
come back. I
Somebody
don't
loves
hate
that
it.
idea. No, I don't
I
hate
don't
it.
hate it.
It's a nice setup
Yeah.
instead of, again, everyone meets in this roundabout area, which
Yeah.
is interesting. Dolly says she can't help but be skeptical. And this is referring to Jill saying she's done with that line of work. We'll keep it classy, San Diego. Uh, Jill says she's no longer okay for doing that for money and has saved enough money until she finds a non-prostitute. I think that's the way to say it. Non-prostitute job.
Yeah, I think she called it a straight job, but
Yeah, something.
non-prostitute also, like,
Yeah, just to really cut through the
yeah,
butter there. Just
yeah.
okay. Dolly says, "What a waste." Such a weird thing to say. Then gives her friend a hug goodbye. Wow, you are weird, Dolly.
She so
Mm,
Dolly is like, "I'm gonna miss you," right? But I couldn't tell if she was saying it because she's gonna miss her for this week that she's gone, or she's gonna miss her
mhm.
because their lives will never cross again. But it's not like you're going into the office every day, right? I mean, like
Yeah, but maybe here's what's happening is I think it's like a good batter type situation, right? Like Dolly got better pitches to hit because Jill was batting ahead of her kind of thing.
gotcha.
You know what I mean? And maybe
Yeah.
Jill was a
No.
bit of a better hitter.
Well, I
So
mean,
I
apparently
think in
she
this
was the it
situation,
sounds like she was the best.
right. So in this situation, Dolly's like, "Oh no."
I mean, I don't know if you heard that she made upwards of $100.
Oh, so interesting. Yeah, that
I
was
was
my
shocked.
theory right away.
You texted me. I was
Oh,
shocked. I
I
was shocked that we were getting a prostitution story, and
we
I
don't
was
need
doubly
that.
shocked that we were opening with a prostitution story.
No kidding. Right
Like
off
that.
the bat. Why can't everyone on the show learn about this later? Like her secret, and they
No,
don't
never
tell
learned
us.
about it was poor Bill.
Oh god, Bill's dumb as a box of rocks. He's just
Poor Bill.
poor Bill.
He's happy. Bill's
He's
happy.
happy.
And he's gonna be happy when he finds out, honestly.
He's not going to give two craps. He'll be so
Nope.
happy. He'll be fine with it.
Yep.
Oh no, not that. Oh, I'm
Oh,
Bill.
no, you're good at that?
Yeah, that's great. Gopher greets a sad-looking Annette Funicello, aka Roberta Roberts, double R, and invites her to dinner. She says, "I couldn't possibly be less interested in being romanced by you."
I will never get past I don't care how many episodes we do it. I
Yeah,
will never get past the, like, casual nature of the crew asking a passenger out. Like, she just got on the boat.
yeah. It's too
Like,
easy. Like, isn't
it
that
is
that's not
like
a rule?
a stewardess asking you out when they say good morning and you make a right onto the plane, right?
There's
It's
no
like that.
avoiding. It's just yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
it's
Imagine if
crazy.
that was like the emergency room, like the ambulance driver. "Hey, you single? Like, what's going on?"
What's your story?
"No, maybe I go to another call." Um, yeah, which is yeah, it's just weird. I think that would be rule number 1. If I'm a captain, that's rule number 1. Leave the
You know what it
passengers
is?
alone, like,
There needs to
they're here on
be,
vacation.
like there's a tampering period or whatever, like in free agency. You got to
Yeah.
give everybody like the first 24 hours. You can't hit on anybody.
No,
Let them get acclimated to the boat.
just
Like
jumping
let
on
them
them. Like, you guys have only been in one cruise for, like, 4 days, and everyone lives in California. It's not like you guys
right.
like, the
They're not
crew
deep
came
sea
from some
fishing.
right. Oh, we've been out for months. A bunch of horn dogs on
No, I
this boat.
don't want to go to dinner with you.
No,
Gopher.
get out of
And
here.
what are you going to do to my food now? Because I turned you down.
Yeah, and then the rest of the thing, she's like, "Oh, there's that creepy guy."
Right.
Or is
It's
that
just
just it's
weird.
did people just cross that line more in the '70s? Wonder if it was just, like, open season.
I'm okay with open season, but it's like, it's we've had this version of the conversation where
Yeah.
it's like hitting on a bartender. It's not fair to the people who have to be there for work.
Mm-mm.
So the
Mm-mm.
reverse should be the same too,
I
right? It's
agree.
just so
I agree. Mo and Dottie Price arrive on the ship with their Price's Ice is Nice T-shirts.
awesome.
Uh, if you go to our merch store, you can get Price's Ice is Nice T-shirts and visors.
Would that be a
Uh,
best? Would that be a top 5 seller? Probably
oh
not,
yeah.
right?
Oh, uh, Price's Ice is Nice. Oh, it'd be great on a koozie.
I think my favorite shirt would be, the Barry Keys tour shirt, like, with all the cities
With
he
all
played.
the
Yeah.
good one. I like that one. Barry Keys. Gopher checks in Nate Jordan. Boy, he's just as sad looking as a Net Funicello.
He's a real joy to be around.
He comes in the room and immediately like turns out all the lights. Ting, 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 and then he
Oh
walks
my
in. I
lord.
want to show you how sad I am as I walk in the dark. Good lord.
Did they did they I did not wanna go back, but did he get inter did Gopher be was Gopher like, "Oh, Ben Jordan?" And he's like, "No, but people call me Nate." Like, who cares? Like, why was that a thing?
And we're like, yeah, Ben Jordan, whatever. What?
Alright,
Just tell me
Eeyore.
where my
Sorry, move along.
yeah, maybe if you guys asked for ID, this would all be clarified. You just was it the honor system? That's how customs works on this boat.
What do you wanna be called?
What's your name? Bill? Kevin. It's Kevin.
Do you wanna
It's
go on a
just
date?
ridiculous. Like they don't respect birth certificates at all. They're just doing whatever they want. Ugh. Um, man, I wrote this note. I was like, man, nosy gopher.
Not
Jeez.
not
Like,
just nosy,
oh,
but, like, you don't ask, "Hey, are you traveling by yourself?" And the reason you don't ask
where's
that
your
is because
wife?
someone might be
Yeah,
dead.
it's
That's why you don't
awful.
ask,
Why are you asking about someone who's not there? Number one, oh, you and your like read the room, gopher.
that
How
is
many people
such
do
a
you interact with and you're this clueless?
right, why are you so bad at your job, Gopher?
Stay
This is
below
the
deck,
easiest
sir.
part of the job, right? Like, I I thought it at the time
Yeah.
that when that girl was trying to get Julie's job, she
Mhm.
specifically asked Sandy Duncan about children. I think she knew that that child had died. This is the complete
Mm,
opposite
it
version
is.
of that, but same result,
It's the
like
same result. It's just it is. It just again, and this is the same thing we talked about before. Is this really what you wanna do? And when you're in that state of mind, like, let me go be around a whole bunch of people I don't know that are all, like, looking to hook up so I can it just sounds like a terrible idea. And then I'm gonna be seated randomly at strangers' tables, which is a hard
oh,
pass for me.
we'll get to the seating arrangements this week because, if that's Julie's main job, she's not doing a
She's
lot.
not paying attention. She's
No.
terrible. Boy, oh boy. Here he comes. String bean Stubing.
Everyone's favorite storyline.
It just proves everything about him. He's just so we'll get to it, but yeah, okay. He didn't steer anything this week, did he? He didn't see him steering anything. He didn't have time.
We're 0 for 2, right? Like the last the steering streak is over. They got 3 episodes out of that steering.
Because they were like, "What is he doing?" They're like, "I don't know. I don't know what he's
doing." Hey, Gavin. I don't know who let you in the editing bay, but that's not driving.
That's not driving a boat, Gavin. Stubing, I should say String Bean Stubing's looking over a group of passengers coming on the boat and tells Doc that he recognizes a pretty woman named Jocelyn that he used to have a crush on in high school. Again, you have nothing better to do than to be just scoping out passengers to immediately put your hooks in as the captain of the ship.
So, would you recognize? It's not automatic that you would recognize somebody from high school, right? Like that's 30 years ago. People change.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but
because the thing is, you have to like. It's not that you just have to recognize them to know who they are from your high school.
See them in
you have to pick them out of a
random crowd.
Strangers. Right.
No, I think.
Yeah.
It would be. I think it would just be luck, or lack of luck, if you did see that person.
Yeah, I don't think it's the slam dunk that they kind of.
Well, here's the other thing, right? What did he used to say? I do my best to learn everyone's name on the thing. Like eventually, he would have seen it was her.
Yeah, which would have been interesting.
Which would have been showing up at rooms. He runs over to greet her, and I'm just like, dude, like have some respect. Just like look captainly.
This boat hasn't launched yet. This boat hasn't launched yet.
It's the fastest I've seen him move since he was going after John Ritter in the hallway that one time.
Or he was chasing himself.
He's going on about how she hasn't changed. And she kind of gives him a once over. She said, "What happened to String Bean Stubing?" Burn. He's sort of just kind of, he's just, hey, fatty. And he kind of just looks at her and his face kind of squinches up. She says, "Oh, don't feel too insecure, because a lot of guys that they knew from the old days are now bald." You crossed the line here.
This is where social media helps, right? You kind of like set the expectations at a proper level with social media.
Yeah.
Like if I had a crush from 30 years ago, I've probably checked in, right? At least once.
Sure.
Now, whether Stubing knows how to use a computer, I have no idea. But
he's just, it's just ridiculous. It's his air of desperation. Like he doesn't have the confidence of a stubby, a proper captain. Like this guy just doesn't have. Again, he's going to be like, "Oh yeah," and the whole thing in here is like, "Well, look what I can do. I can change my body and like do all these things to be like that square peg that you want me to be, even though that's not." Like that's not captainly. I wasn't going to wear the hat this week, and we'll see why in a little bit. But then I was like, well, somebody's got to be the damn captain. Somebody's got to act
You're the
like
captain.
I'm the
You're
captain.
the captain now.
Yeah, I'm the captain now. Because this guy, these aren't captain like behavior in any way. Come on. And then he's going to use as an excuse he got called to the bridge. Nobody's ever called you to the bridge. In 23 episodes, you've never been called to the bridge. Ever. And if you did, the cameras didn't find it. You don't even know where it is. You call that that guy across, Lieutenant Wheeland or whatever.
Well, the captain of the officer of the watch wasn't on this week, so maybe he had him killed to get him off the scent. So.
Something. That's probably why Gopher was watching his back during dinner. I was wondering why he was standing there.
That was weird.
Weird. So she's, makes the bald thing, which, I mean, come on. Statistically, it is what it is. That's what I always say.
Wait, are you sticking up for Stuving now?
Well, just the bald part. Look, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. Next week, I'm gonna show up the episode. I'm gonna have at the stubbies. I'm just gonna have long, flowing locks.
You gotta have the sides. You gotta have those classic Stuving sides.
Assuming sides and like pants that are way too big and my scale adjusted 15 pounds. Ray and Myrna Foster check in and they're bicker.
Boo.
Boo, boo, boo. Bill Wainwright bumps into Jill, causing her to drop her basket of oranges.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
It's
top
such
3
dumb.
dumbest things to give someone going on a number 1, a basket of oranges. She goes to pick them up. Ray Foster looks over. Boo.
Ugh,
And
it's the
says,
worst.
well, I'll be. And his wife's asking what he's talking about, and he just says nothing.
Yeah.
Says this might be a very romantic cruise after all. We know it. We can put a couple things together.
Yeah, it's not romance. It's not
No.
romance, Roy.
No.
So
No, and Roy's like, and I brought cash, just to really drive the point home. Roberta. Poor Myrna. Roberta unpacks her things sadly. And the scene ends as she stares at a framed photo.
Yep, big old frame.
Big old frame. Because it's a travel size. You see the one at home, it's their whole wall.
So I think the lesson we've learned here is the less alive your person is, the bigger the frame.
The bigger the picture.
So
Yeah, but what about the guy in that
like
one
or a
episode?
sweetheart at home, it's a 3x5.
It was. Remember the kids at home? He showed his wallet and they were this big.
Right.
But this guy, Bill, I think his name was Bill for some reason.
Bill. All right, Bob.
He's got
Officer Bob.
Officer Bob. Jill and Bill bump into each other again near the pool.
I'm Bill.
Here we go again. I'm Gil. I'm Jill. I'm Bill. It's gonna be all boy. Well, that'll make the episode seem a little more fun. There you go. Little Muppets Take Manhattan.
They've gotten lazy. No, we can't repeat bits. I mean, just because they're doing it doesn't
They're
mean
so lazy with it. Jill, Bill. They're all. I'm surprised it's not Roberta and Robert.
It's Jill, Bill, and the Fosters. We just had Gary Bananas Foster 2 weeks ago.
They love Fosters. Maybe they're related.
Gary Foster's a stand-up guy. He would not be related to.
No. He doesn't mess with that.
To that scumbag, Roy Foster.
Jill and Bill bump into each other near the pool. That pool's hopping, by the way. This pool is hopping. Normally, you don't see that.
Didn't we have like a zero pool a couple weeks ago?
Like the water didn't even move.
You know what's funny? For that scene,
yeah,
I was like, oh, they might actually be on the boat.
It was a different camera angle completely.
I don't feel like I felt like that for the rest of the episode, but for that one episode scene, I thought maybe they were actually on the boat.
I thought so too. It did feel very, realistic as far as and the people in the pool, and I was like, oh, okay, it looked fun. He asked her if she's sitting with anyone. She tells him she isn't, and then they end up walking off together. Essentially, like it was sort of a weird.
We talk about the people, should you be on the cruise, shouldn't you be on the cruise? And there's no like reason for her not to be on the cruise, right? But like she's got a new job, she's trying to focus on her life change. It's obviously some sort of like demarcation of right. But like it is unusual to go by yourself in that vein, right? Because and you have a little money saved up and you're starting a new job, like is this the expense you should be putting out there before you start work? I don't know. Maybe she had a lot of money saved.
I mean, it's not like she was going and not putting herself in a spot to meet somebody based on the situation she was in. It was just sort of a weird move based on
she wasn't going on the chastity boat.
No. No, like, where are you going? Cancun, Senior Frogs, you know, a nice
Yeah,
nice responsible
yeah.
vacation. What?
I'm carrying the world's most sensual fruit.
It's just does anyone like oranges? So many oranges.
What if Bill had walked by, right, and didn't knock into her? Would she just wheeled and, like, threw him at him? Like,
She
she was
she
going
would
for
have sat
Bill
in her
one way or the
room
other.
and just devoured oranges the entire time, just nothing to do, I don't know anybody. Uh,
Oysters of the sea.
yeah, that's what orange yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Uh, Isaac, this was a weird one, takes drink orders from sad Nate, and then also a sad Roberta, both of them who request very, the same drinks that Isaac wasn't quite sure at first.
Okay, so I have this. I
That's
have
what I was
Planters
wondering.
Punch,
Yeah.
and I had it on my recent trip to the South, for
Mhm,
a little vacation a few months ago.
mhm.
It's a fine drink when you're outside in the sun. It's an excellent choice. I'm actually impressed that these 2 depressed people had something with some fun. I thought
With
they
some
would order,
bright
like,
color.
yeah, it's rum and fruit juice and a grenadine, like,
What
it
kind of
gets you
fruit
where you
juice?
need to get. It's very nice. The fact that Isaac, A, admits to not knowing any drink is stupid, but never something that basic. That's a very
What kind
I
of
mean, this
fruit
is a
ju
45-year-old episode, and I had this drink 2 months ago at a bar. So,
wh
like, it's a
what's
real
the,
thing.
what's the fruit juice?
I think it's kinda whatever you want or whatever they have or, like, could be a
Oh, so Planters Punch could be like we used to do when we go right? Like
like
our drink.
hangover cure. Yeah, right, exactly, yeah, so
Interesting.
that's really all it is. The grenadine, I think, is what makes it like a bar drink, but ultimately, it's just
Mm,
rum and fruit juice, yeah.
makes sense.
It's fun, it's a fun drink.
Uh, while playing backgammon for 5 cents a point, Bill jokes with Jill about hustling him, which I guess is the wrong thing. Top 5 things you should not say to a recovering and
Yeah, there
apparently
was
it's about hustling him. That was a weird
there were a few of those where, like, she was ready to be offended.
right,
But
right, right.
Bill had no idea what he was talking about, right? A, and then the things he were saying was not that bad, but she never really went that far in it. But I thought that was going to be a thing, but they ran away from the actual interesting parts of that plot, so they didn't, say anything.
I think she could read the fact that he didn't mean it in any sort of weird you know what I mean? In any sort of weird way. I think she was able to see through that, which is nice because I didn't think Bill was I mean, obviously, he doesn't
No,
know. So,
no, Bill's a goof. Yeah,
that's
I thought
what
it was interest. I thought it was
yeah,
interesting. What they ended up betting like 5 cents or 10 cents or something like that.
yeah,
And
5
then
cents
we
a
had,
point.
like, a million years ago, we had Jacqueline Smith and Dennis Kingston bet for,
That's
like,
right.
$1. Like, 99% of the wagering on this boat is low stakes, and then there's Wendell Sneed, who
No
takes
kidding.
Gopher down for, like,
Hundreds.
$1,000,000.
And that cruise wasn't over yet. Like, he could
No.
have
Yep.
he hadn't moved on to, like, general population with his single
Right.
deck of cards.
Oh, he would've crushed those
Was
guys.
that
He
his
just went
rule?
after
It
Yeah, he
wouldn't
just
look
went
shady.
after
He's
the
like,
well,
"We can
he
play
went
as
after the
long as we
money
use
you
mine."
see. He's a very
What's that?
visual. He's very visual. The money you see, he goes after.
Yeah.
So he saw that money in the box and he went after that, so.
If I was him, I just would never let anyone sit behind me, and I wouldn't sit in front of a window ever again, but I would use those marked cards.
I wouldn't mortgage my house for a mediocre cruise.
Mediocre
So,
cruise where you thought you were up because you won a few hundred, and then you broke even, but then you got the money. Ugh, exhausting. Um, Captain Yep, here comes String Bean Steubing.
I
He is
I
jogging
just
in
have a
place.
note.
Mm,
I just have a note. It's like, "Stupid comedy!" Exclamation point.
ugh, just so over the top. He's in his cabin jogging in place. Who jogs in place is like an exercise. Just what do you
Indoors. Go
indoors, like,
outside.
then he weighs himself, but he doesn't look happy with the number. Um, he gets Doc. Tells him he's excited about seeing Jocelyn. He'd like, Doc to help him fix, this weight issue he has. Uh, somehow the line is, "A fast is fast." comes up, but says that starvation's probably not the best way to do this. A few seconds later, a knock on the door. There's Isaac to offer the captain a jelly donut for his regular tea time. We know what's going on now. This Joker's just getting treats delivered all day
It's
to
your
his little
tea
office.
time?
Tea
What is that?
There was no tea on that, and I know that's not a literal tea time.
Right.
That's not what that is. It's not a jelly. It's
He's
not
not
jelly donut time.
he's not the emperor of the sea. Like, why is he getting treated like this? What, like, Isaac's not
Well,
your secretary.
but that's what I'm saying is that if this is the treatment he gets as the captain on the ship, then wouldn't he be a lot more confident dealing with a situation like that? Wouldn't he be like, her loss. I'm king of this Pacific princess. In fact,
Right.
I'm king of the Pacific.
Right. Half the time he's craving the adoration of his crew.
Right.
So I'd be very, you know what? If somebody brought me a jelly donut and a coffee every afternoon at the
I'd be
same
happy.
time,
I would be happy. I'd be like, you
whatever.
know what? I don't need a Jocelyn, but I do need a jelly donut at 3 o'clock every day. So
How I think we've I think you have led the charge of the uncaptainliness of Steubing and all
Mhm.
the things, but I think the one thing we kind of underestimate sometimes is just how stupid he is.
Yeah,
So
it's so over the
you're
top. He's so
you're
dumb.
going to literally not eat for a day while you're piloting a boat
Thank you.
that has 599 people, on
Right?
it at least because there was one vacancy.
At least.
Um, like, and you think that's gonna work? Like, you know how weight works? Like,
But also, like, to your point, he's at work.
right?
This is work. What do you're gonna what it's a 3, 4 day cruise. You're gonna come on, dude.
It's
They
not
made him look he
healthy.
looks like a fool.
He does. He does. And okay, and even when he's not talking about that, he's basically pumping Doc for pills.
Just yeah, looking for quick ways to
Right. It's a shame you never fixed the sauna, Steubing. You could have gone and sat in
oh,
there. You know who lost a lot of weight was Larry Storch.
that's right. That's funny. Uh, here we go. Bill hands Jill. We're back to these people again. A towel as she emerges or she gets out of the swimming pool and she's drying herself off. Um, Ray asks Isaac, "Oh, geez, boo,
Oh,
Ray,
this
Ray,
is
boo."
terrible.
He asks Isaac if Jill is traveling with that person, Bill, over there, and Isaac says he's pretty sure they met on the ship. Number one, how about a little privacy, man? Like, how about a little
Yeah, Isaac,
privacy?
you know what the answer to that
Discretion.
question is? I don't know, man.
I
Would you
don't
like a
know,
drink?
man. A lot of people.
Yep.
That's it.
Like, crazy, crazy.
How about you look up what planner's punch is? How about you know what I mean? Just work on
Well,
that. Good
I guess
lord.
the question that Jack asked after they went to commercial was, "What's her room number?" And Isaac gave that up too because he found that pretty
Yeah,
easily.
that I thought that was weird too.
This boat has terrible security at the highest levels and the lowest levels. It's
It's a
just
free for
so
all.
casual.
Free for all. I'm
Yeah.
surprised the doors even lock.
I'm surprised there's even doors.
Just wide open.
Just which is one big glass wall.
It's terrible. Okay, well, I will say a big moment now is dinner time.
I knew
The
you'd be
captain's
excited that
dinner returns. Yeah,
we're
short
back.
jackets. And it gets weird again here. So he arrives at the table, and I look at the table. It's a woman, man, woman, man. It's in the right order. Everything looks the right way.
He's in the middle.
He's in the middle. He tells Jocelyn how delighted he is to host her, and he's looking all deeply into her eyes, like such a weirdo. And then Gopher interrupts, and he says that the captain shouldn't be wearing his hat at the dinner table. Let me just tell you something right now. This isn't even about whether you should wear a hat or not a hat. What is wrong with Gopher? Like
Oh, I
you
see.
don't
To me, I think Gopher was like, he can't say anything. I'm right. So
man.
I think this is Gopher. I think this is. You remember when Julie a couple weeks ago told him about Courtney Stubing, and we were like, "There's a way she could hide this as actual work, but she's really
Mm,
just getting to him." I think
right.
that's what Gopher's doing. I think Gopher is taking his opportunity to put the screws on Stubing for all the times he's put the screws on Gopher.
I felt like Stubing should have taken him on deck out at that moment and just thrown him off the boat.
What if
Goodbye.
he just shot? What if the next thing he just shoots him? Like,
Just right there. Oh,
so I have a
I was
question.
just like, yeah.
So I'm not saying you would have an opinion on this for any specific reason, but in general, is the smarter move if you're Stubing? You're not going to be able to wear that hat for the rest of your life, right?
No, of course not.
So you have two choices. You don't come in with the hat and you just go. You go with the initial, give her some time to, maybe don't acknowledge it right away. Or you do this and a slow reveal, which is way more jarring, and you're there for it. Right? This is the dumber move of the two options.
I think because you have no choice in what it is, right? You lose your hair, you lose your hair. You got no choice. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. Is it a tough pill to swallow? Sure. But if you present it in a way, or if you don't present it and you're deceitful about it, then there's no way you can come across as being confident about it, meaning like it is what it is. So for me, the captain here should have you just own it.
Right.
Does he ever I don't think he's ever worn his hat. What a I'm the captain of the Pacific
Yeah.
Princess.
You have mentioned he wears his hat maybe indoors more than a normal
Yeah,
captain would,
way
but
more than he should.
he's never worn it in the dining hall.
No.
That's actually his fiefdom. Is
Yeah,
that
that's
captain's
weird.
table. Yeah.
So that was odd.
I mean, like,
It
were you
was
gonna
just
leave it on
weird.
the whole time, Stubing? If you conquered Jessica Walter,
Yeah,
were you
so
gonna yeah.
just you so badly want to be what you think that she wants or what she said that she wants, so you're gonna what? You're not gonna eat. Always gonna wear a hat. That's great. That's great. It's a good
Big
thing he's
catch.
guiding the ship. It's a good thing he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Um, he removes it. Jocelyn gasps.
She should have spit taked. That would have been great.
That would have been good. That would have been good. She apologizes for making that comment earlier. Uh, Captain says he's not eating dinner. They're all waiting for you to start because he had a very big lunch.
So is
And I'm
that a
writing,
thing
huh?
that they can't eat till he eats? That's a
I don't
weird
know
thing.
about that's a weird thing. I
Again,
don't
you're
know.
not the emperor of the sea. Like, you
No,
should probably
yeah, like what?
it's bad enough I have to sit at the table with you and be involved in whatever this weird conversation is you're having with the purser and this lady, but I
But it's
can't
just
eat.
it's a weird combination of things because on one hand, he's like, "Oh, I have to reluctantly look. Oh, this is what it is, whatever." Right?
Yeah,
So you're down, and then at the same time, he's like, "Oh, you can eat. You still have to do these duties, like you said, as Emperor of the Sea."
right.
It's a weird, like, at the same time in the same scene.
You can't be
Like he doesn't know what he's doing, man.
this happens to all these people except maybe Doc. And even no, because Doc had this problem a couple weeks ago. Like
Yeah,
you can't be in your feelings emotionally, right, with your life choices and be doing your job at the exact same time.
right.
That's
It's not
just
a
like
right,
not
right.
Princess is getting screwed on that deal. You're not
What the
giving me
whole
your
phrase
full.
"duty calls." Like
Yeah.
you're on duty. You're on the. It's ridiculous. Okay, we're moving on here. A sad Roberta because she's always sad.
Is there any other kind?
She arrives at the assigned dinner table, and I'm telling you, Mike, this would be just a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
All right, for anybody, if you're going on a crusade, you don't want to sit next to. So they're at this assigned seat. Happen to be shared by Mo and Dottie Price. Could be worse. And Nate and Mo
That's
and
my note.
Dottie.
One of my notes for that is like that is my actual cruise nightmare. You always talk about like the food and all that stuff
Yeah,
and feeling claustrophobic, but like that's my nightmare is these assigned seats. You could just be stuck with these people who are aggressive aggressive in their
Yeah.
friend-making attempts for 9 or 10 days. That just seems horrible.
I wouldn't wanna deal with and then you're kinda put in those situations. Because what happens if you don't wanna sit there? You just don't eat?
Well, I mean, sometimes it seems like these things are booked to the gills too, so
Yeah.
yeah, there's nowhere else to go. I would like an episode on Julie's process for these table
Mm,
assignments. Now, I don't know what kind of information you have, right? Like,
yeah.
this is a couple, these are 2 single people. I don't think there's a box that says bummed out because of spouse death. You know, it's
Sad
like, so I
face,
don't know
sad
why
face.
these
It's a series of stickers. Yeah.
right?
Well, there has to be some but
Or like
this is just well, I think it's just a convenient device that you can use to put 2 people together circumstantially that probably wouldn't meet in an episode where none of the stories are good. They're like, "Well, we
well,
gotta get
yeah,
these
if
2
you wanna
sad
look
people
at it like that, this
together."
whole show is pointless that we do every week. So
No, but
it's
I think big picture wise, because 'cause we've seen some other it's just interesting because I
I would
wouldn't
have
think
the
the
single
system would put these
people
people together.
I would have all the single people together. The swinger episode,
Yes.
right? Those were
Yeah.
4 single people all together and have the couples together. That makes
Yeah.
more sense. If there is not a box for widow on the form, which I assume there's not, then all
Then
the
it's
single
single,
people should be at one table.
unless it's an all widow and widower cruise. Oh, sad. That'd be a sad cruise.
Just the saddest
Just saddest cruise
just
ever.
everybody shuffling past each other on the deck.
The band only plays The Way We Were. Just amazing.
Oh, there was
That happened again too. It's okay. Let me Mo and Dottie go on about the ice business. Nate says he's a stockbroker. Roberta says she's an economist. I don't even know what that
Yeah, I
means.
didn't know what that would have meant actually. Like,
That's like she's like saying none of your beeswax, basically.
but
Don't
they
worry
didn't
about what I
talk
do.
about but, like, they didn't do anything with that. Like, that's in theory a
Nothing.
commonality, right?
You would think. You would think.
Where's 30 seconds about that? "Oh, do you love your work at least?" Or, like, nothing.
Nothing. And they just talk about the ice business. Ray, creepy ass Ray, gazing hungrily at Jill as she's on the dance floor with Bill. And so Myrna, poor Myrna, grumbles at him, tells him to stop staring at that beautiful, beautiful lady. Ugh,
Smooth Bill, subtle,
smooth,
or, whatever.
real Ray,
Foster,
creepy ass
Ray,
Ray.
Roy.
And then talking about a drink. Isaac,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, this was
the Wilt
terrible.
Chamberlainski, which was a tall black Russian. Let me ask you, I know what a white Russian is. What's in a black Russian? What's the black? Is it like soda and rum or something?
I
Or
don't
what's
know.
the coffee
Chocolate
and
milk?
rum? Ovaltine?
Stupid Ovaltine?
Stupid. I didn't know what it was, but it was just like, what the Wilt Chamberlain ski?
It's funny, I didn't look it up, and I intended to do a little drink bit here. There were a couple examples. I think the prices were an example. I think this terrible Isaac bit was an example. They
Yeah.
knew, right, that this was depressing, and they were trying
Stinkaroo.
to just stick some zingers in there, but it was just like,
It wasn't
ugh,
there's not enough singers.
no,
There's not enough singers. The
no,
damage has already been done.
yeah.
Mo and Dottie urge sad Roberta and sad Nate to join them on the dance floor, but they say no. Surprise, surprise. And they each say to themselves that they're not in the best of moods. Okay. They want to be around the quieter parts of the show. Okay. What are we even writing here? It's like the verbal, it's like the story is the equivalent of the word shh. There's nothing happening here. But
That
okay.
storyline should have been called "I don't wanna."
Yeah,
Like, it was
eh,
like, yuck.
just we're back to Steubing again. Steubing tells Jocelyn it's just he's falling in love with her. Like,
Right.
come on, Meryl, get it together, dude. Says how gorgeous she is. Like, just, ugh.
The only reason I give this a pass in terms of the speed, right, is that he knew her 30 years ago. He clearly had a high school crush. I'll give him a little bit of a pass, but you're an adult. Nobody wants to hear that, and you know that, right,
Mm,
Stupid? Like, you know nobody wants to hear you're in love with them 28 minutes
ugh.
into the date. Like, so
And keep in mind, it's not like she went on this cruise to see him, to be
right,
reunited with him.
right.
What wonder what her agenda was aside from this whole thing. So what is
Yeah, I
because
don't know.
he's just like, "Oh, she's here for
I
me to stalk," basically.
It is interesting. They really should once in a while throw in just like a doesn't have to be a main credit person, right? But just a person who's like
Just
just by
something.
themselves, kind of in the background, so we can kind of see what they're doing. But we never really get that. Like, I
Mm-mm.
don't know what a person, if they weren't involved in the plot, would do,
Right.
like on this
It's
boat.
so that's it. That's her the entire identity of this character is just to be, like, hunted down by Steubing
Yeah,
and to be the
yeah.
worst jogger I've ever seen in
And
my
if she
life.
had just like worn a hat or dyed her hair different from her yearbook
Something.
photo, she
That's
would have
all it
been
took.
fine. Like, so
Or boarded on a different, like, entry point or
right.
earlier or anything.
Well, she knows what she probably was doing. She was probably waiting until he started playing with those things, and that
Those
didn't
2
happen this
sticks
week,
just gonna
so
run.
she had to get on.
Well, she tried to get on last week, and it didn't do it then, so she like, "I gotta get on this boat."
Blowing money constantly.
She's telling us she managed to keep her girlish figure by jogging every morning. Let me just say, spoiler alert, we're gonna learn that what she's doing is not jogging, but more on
Might
that
have been
later.
1978 jogging though.
Well, I don't wanna ruin it now. It was terrible. And she, perks up, um, when she starts talking about he perks up about the jogging and suggests they go jogging together. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go. A lot of flipping back and forth in this. A lot of like
Yeah,
scene, scene,
that
scene, scene.
which honestly, so I go back
Exhausting.
and forth on that because sometimes I'm like the back and forth is means you don't have anything,
Right.
but then I also don't want one of those 9-minute scenes that goes nowhere either. But there's a middle that we did not achieve here with this.
No.
So,
No. We're back to Bill and Jill. Bill walks Jill back to her cabin and said he had such a great day. He wishes for a lifetime of today's.
yeah.
Which
Bill's
is
just
nice.
head over heels, man. Just nice guy, just
Nice guy,
smitten.
just no like
Yeah.
weird. He didn't get weird.
They've got a great meet cute,
Is nice. And he said,
you know,
"Hey, invite some. Can we do breakfast tomorrow morning?" She said, "Absolutely."
and he'll
That's
never
great.
know what she used to do besides real
Right.
estate. So good for him.
Oh boy. Here's creepy ass Ray going on and on about how he feels so young and energetic.
He's
And
drunk.
then poor Myrna comes out of the bathroom with her curlers in her hair. And this just takes every bit of air out of creepy ass Ray's sail. And he's just
'Cause
out.
he's drunk and
He's
horny.
drunk and he's just out. He's like,
So
and
the
here's the thing
it
is they
must
put a scene
be
between, he didn't leave yet, but
right.
they put the Roberta scene between, they never
Yeah,
finished the scene. I'm like,
yeah, what are we doing here? Right.
why are you breaking this up?
Roy seems like just exhausting, right? Like whatever
Oh,
Myrna's qualities are or aren't, like
he's a
he
pain
just
in the
seems like a
rear.
lot because he's literally like he's hammered because he's been at the bar pumping
Yeah,
Isaac for information. And he's just like,
and
man,
drinking
I
Wilt
have to go to
Chamberlain
bed.
skis. Yeah.
It's my it's my first night. I'm old. I'm gonna go to bed. Sorry, Jack Carter. I don't want to lay down with you. So
No kidding. Like, she's like, "Enough, Ray.
uh,
Shut it." But it is
uh,
weird they put this little mini scene in between the other ones, which is just
yeah.
we're back to sad ass Roberta, explaining that the love of her life, Bob, recently died on a training flight for the Air Force. Sad Nate tells sad Roberta of his wife's recent passing. And they go, basically they've agreed that they have depressed each other enough for one evening, and then they both leave and go their separate ways.
All right.
Oh, get a sandwich. We're digging into that storyline.
So
Ugh.
the friends of Roberta are trying to cheer her up so they convince her to go on this cruise. But, know your friend better. She clearly is not going to have a good time, right? Like
No,
this
she's
isn't
gonna
her.
be a motionless face. All she does is blink in this episode
Yeah.
and borrow an Agatha Christie book. That's the list of actions. Okay, we're back to the Ray thing. He's continuing to talk down to his wife, and then he says that he's going out to get a drink at whatever bar is still open.
Which apparently no bars are open.
Well, you never know for Ray. This could be. Well, no, everyone's kind of hunkering down for the evening at this point. So
I mean, Myrna said the bars are closed, and he's like, he did not,
he's like,
I'm
shut
going.
it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going, like he's drinking moonshine out of the
He's just
toilet or something.
something. But really, he's all horned up now. That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
And knock on Jill's cabin. Opens the door. It's creepy Ray. She's like, "What are you doing?" And asked him if he's on this cruise for, or he asked her if she's on this cruise for business or pleasure. And he says something about your business is my business. Your
Your
business is
business
my
is my
pleasure.
pleasure. Yeah.
And then she's like, "Look, I'm no longer doing that. Like, I don't do that crap anymore. Get out of here." But she can't, like, I thought it was gonna take a terrible turn. I thought it was
I
gonna get,
really I really
oh,
did.
no.
Like, so if Jill's like, hold on a second, let me get my purse and we can go somewhere, and Roy turns around and she shoots him in the face, right? That's
Right.
illegal, right? Like she should be able to kill him for being able to get in his room.
I
Like,
mean, she wouldn't leave him al he wouldn't leave her alone, like,
no.
he was, like,
He was
predatory.
stalking. He was stalking her.
Yeah, it was. No, I was like, "Please don't let him come in here and, like, do something to her," like, you know what I mean? Or even give
Yeah.
off that vibe that about, oh, he was, what a creepy character. Like, he played a creep really well.
But I don't think
Mm,
they we'll get to it when they kind of take the turn, but it's like they, much like the widower story, they thought they were doing a much better job of nuance with this thing. This is like, this guy's a creep, and he pussed out basically at the one moment of truth and then got away with it. No comeuppance again for a character.
yeah, no, at the end, they were almost, like, cheersing each other. They were both like, you know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah.
like a wink nod, and I'm like,
Yeah. No, it's awful.
"Come on."
Awful.
So the end of this scene, basically, he threatens, meaning creepy Ray threatens to reveal to Bill what Jill did up until now as a job. So now she has that hanging over her head. Uh, Up next morning, perfect weather for a jog, unless you're Jocelyn, because what she's doing is not a jog. There's barely any forward momentum. That is the oddest looking thing. I'm no
Do you think
jogging
she's
expert.
better? Is she a better jogger than Anson Williams was?
Uh,
And that other, I think that's the only other jogging we've
I'm gonna
seen.
say no. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Okay, because he was jogging on a much smaller surface.
He really was. But this,
Yeah,
I mean, she wasn't, but fine. But she can't. She looks behind her. Again, Captain Steubing's nowhere to be seen. Again, then they cut this. She trots off, and they go, and you see somebody laying on top of a bench with a towel over his face. And I was like, oh, String Bean Steubing is dead. Did he die? Did he expire? We giving out ice cream? What's going on?
what a twist! What if we somehow didn't know that Steubing got killed off at the end of season 1 by a massive
Contract dispute.
coronary?
Uh, jeez. So he's laying there,
Best
go for
episode
uh,
ever.
best episode ever. The end. Oh, and then it's Bob Crane. Bob Crane for
That'd
the
be
season
great.
finale, and from
That'd be
now
great.
on.
They pull the blanket off of
Yep.
him.
And somehow,
That
because he's on
bastard.
this show, Bob Crane lived.
Yeah, yeah, he was somewhere else. Yeah.
Uh So they see Steubing laying, but they don't know it's him. Gopher says that the torso of this man reminds him of a baby whale he once saw at Marineland. Boom, boom, boom.
Sure.
Well, and also, like, how out of shape are you? You had to lay on boxes with a towel over your face, and it's not like
Well,
she was tearing it up with this crazy pace.
and it's that thing too where it's like we go back and forth between Steubing trying to pretend this is like, the Lusitania, and then or it's a floating hotel. It's like, shouldn't
Right.
there be regulations? There's naval regulations, right? I mean,
Absolutely. There's
shouldn't you have
military
to run like a
standards.
12-minute mile or something? Like,
But again, I just feel like his confidence should have been like, um, again, he's got nothing to do. He's just Queen of
those
England.
jelly donuts aren't going to eat themselves, Mike.
No, I bet you they were good too. I bet you they were delicious. He's got treats hidden in that place. Like, don't. He's got treats everywhere. That guy.
The wheel
Uh,
is just the wheel is just like
just spinning.
made of Slim Jims or something.
Where's our first stop? Wherever the Slim Jims take us. I don't know.
We can't go left. I ate
Yeah,
the compass.
I ate 11 o'clock to 7:30. uh Jocelyn tells Doc that Captain Steubing disappeared during their morning run. Just as he limps over, and here we go, lying Captain Steubing says he was called away to deal with an emergency on the bridge. We all know that's a bunch of nonsense. How did Doc keep a straight face?
Yeah, Doc did some solid lying here this week. So
She invites him to breakfast, which you'd think he would jump on that, and he's like, "Nah, I got to run along to get ready for a crew meeting later."
yeah, what is that?
What?
That was dumb before we saw what the crew meeting was, but even then, it's like you gotta prep for
What
your
are you? You're gonna prep for
4-person crew.
your hunger-driven anger, unless he had a bunch of different meetings with 4 individuals all day long, and you're just
Right.
screaming at him
That's
4
how
at a
he
time.
4 different meetings or 4 different meals. He gets a he gets a different meal with every meeting.
Uh, sad Nate, sad Roberta. They lie to Mo and Dottie about they have shuffleboard plans, how they can't spend the day with them. Boom. Well, here I'm thinking, Mike, I gotta be honest, I'm like, here we go. It's a sunny day. Nate and Roberta, nothing crazy. Maybe they have lunch together outside.
Okay.
A little sunshine for a, a gloomy trip.
Sure.
No, no. She thanks Nate and notices that he has an Agatha Christie book. She tells him that she loves the author. He loans her the book. The two wish each other a great day until they walk off in opposite directions.
So
Okay, so day one, they amble off in different directions and slowly go back to the cabins. Day two, she gets a book.
but but day 1, that was at night when they ambled
Yeah,
off. This
yeah,
is like the next morning. So
yeah.
they're killing the whole day now by themselves.
Not even 9 a.m. They're like, well, I'll go read this
So
in my cabin today.
so Nate makes it sound like he had gone to the bookstore the first day to buy that Agatha Christie.
Sure.
So he had time to read an entire Agatha Christie novel in one day. That's
He doesn't
gr-
sleep.
glad you went on the boat. And now he's going to go buy a second one, and he's giving an F to a child. What did these people pack? Like, you knew you were going to be miserable. What did you bring to do?
3 changes of clothes. That's it. Swimsuits?
And that
Are you
giant
kidding?
picture,
No.
that giant picture of
The giant
Bob.
pic well, the giant picture takes up most that's where the book space was. She was like, "Book, giant picture. Book, giant picture, giant picture."
Damn you, Bob! Killed by Jimmy Carter's Air Force.
Yeah.
So
They didn't have the technology to make books smaller to fit in
I
suitcases in the
was
70s.
for a second, I was like, "Oh no," because uh, I think the next year Carter made an attempt to get the hostages, and
Mm.
that ended in tragedy.
Oh,
So
that
I
was
was
that
like,
whole
"Oh
Delta
no!"
Force thing. Yeah.
Right? Was Bob on that team? But it was
Oh,
a
good one.
precursor. Yeah.
Good. I didn't think about that. Poor Bob.
This is always the indication of a tremendous episode.
Mm.
We're still in Act 2, I believe, and in all caps, I have who cares?
I could not agree more. I could not agree more.
Once they did the exact same scene the second time,
Right.
which is what it was, right? Like when they
Exactly.
walked away again, that was
Right.
like, nope,
Oh,
we're not
I
saving this
see.
baby.
Well, at least the third scene with them is nothing like those scenes. What, do they walk away from each other?
That's a
Yeah,
different. Yeah, but they went the
they went the other way. Yeah, they crossed over. She was in front. I don't know.
Oh my god.
We're back to Myrna and scumbag Ray.
Can I say I'm
Mer-
sorry. I
Yeah,
one
yeah,
thing I
yeah.
want to go back, but I do want to
Yeah.
give them I do want to point out the few good things that were in this episode.
All right.
So when they are doing the shuffleboard bit to kind of get out of talking to the prices,
I'm glad you brought this up.
they mention that there's 48-minute intervals and it's Swedish rules. Nonsense, right? Absolute nonsense. But that is the absolute best that Annette Funicello is in this whole thing. Is like she's kind of fun and she's just kind of like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, Swedish rules
happy.
that we have to go. Like it's there. It's totally there, but you decided to take one of America's sweethearts
Yeah,
and make her just this mope machine. Now maybe she wanted it, right? We always talk about people playing against type.
right.
But this wasn't it. So also
It's
shout
like
out to Shuffleboard
Steven.
though. Shuffleboard was king on this boat, man.
Yeah, shuffleboard was king. It is funny though, because I did notice the same thing, and I had a note saying this is the happiest and the best I've seen her in this episode. When she lit
Yeah,
up the way she lit up, you could see it. You're like,
yeah, yeah. Natural. It was a natural
it
thing
wasn't
where it was
natural.
like it almost just felt like she was playing left-handed the whole time, right? And then this one scene, half of the scene,
But
she
that's
was
why
able to
people loved
actually
her. She was
exactly.
lovable, and you just wanted to like. I
And
know
we've
your light's brighter.
seen
We're gonna turn it down
yeah,
for. It didn't make anything better.
yeah. We've
It was almost
seen
like on principle.
we've
We're not
seen
gonna.
examples
Yeah,
of the people who want to play against type, right?
sure.
Do really well, but they don't do it the whole time if it's a
No,
negative. Like
right.
Robert Reed to me is always the one that was like the best version of against type, and he was great in that thing. But
I
it
agree.
wasn't like, and so maybe that's different because the role was so different. But like, make a better role. Like that's really it's on the
Or
writers,
or just add maybe an extra layer or 2 in the dialogue, maybe use that time introducing that character. You
right?
know what I mean? The very beginning to give you that added layer.
Well,
Something,
you know what
like, you can get it in there.
we can compare it to is the Sandy
Mm,
Duncan thing. The
that's a
Sandy
good
Duncan
point.
thing is very similar. Now, granted, there was a whole storyline that gave her an opportunity to be happy,
Right.
but do that. Give her half of the show to be happy. She was
It's
never
almost.
happy
No.
in this whole thing.
It's almost like the last thing they wanted to do was to have Annette Funicello as the guest star. You're like, "Well, great, but unfortunately,
We
Annette
have this
Funicello is the
tremendous
guest star."
storyline that was written
So
for uh, Werner Herzog.
How's your agent pitching this to her? I got a great one for you. What is it?
Yeah.
You smile one time, you just walk in the opposite direction, and no smooching. You
No,
exchange a
nothing.
book.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Love it. It's great.
Just nothing.
It's the 13th most watched show in America.
21 million people watching this dreg.
I wonder if it's
Uh,
like I wonder if it's like this really because I assume her and Frankie Avalon either talked all the time or never. But like he got a meaty role, a meaty fun role 2
yeah.
weeks prior or whatever that was. 3
Well,
weeks
yeah,
prior,
they
4 weeks
they allowed
prior.
him to have some personality, like
Yeah.
something. Like, if you're gonna
Yeah.
have Frankie Avalon, then freaking have Frankie Avalon.
Right.
Have some energy. Don't. Well,
I'm
it's
trying
just
to
like
think I'm
when you
trying to
got.
think
Yeah.
of an episode we've had recently, like last 4 or 5, where she would have been a better fit. Um Honestly,
Hmm.
she probably could have done the Michelle Lee thing last week, um, with the housewife who was pretending to be a celebrity. At least that would have been something.
Or
Um,
she coulda even been the wife of the one where the rich people didn't make the cruise, and they gave it to the younger married people, and then those
yeah.
married people acted like
Yeah, just
just
something more
anything.
upbeat. Yeah.
Right. It's not the
Yeah.
saddest. It's nothing but sad, the storyline. It's all sad. If
She
you
also
think
could
this
have
is gonna end up
been
in a happy way, it doesn't end up in anything. It's
she
just
could have been and I thought the actress was good for a while. She could
mm.
have been, the sister, the dental assistant.
Oh,
She
that's
could have
a
been
good
that
one.
sister, right? She could have been.
That's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah, like, that was a so there these roles exist on this show, they just gave her a
absolutely.
real bummer one.
Real stinkeroo.
Yeah.
We're back to Myrna telling scumbag Ray that she's so sick of all this arguing and the way that he takes her for granted, and that she's moving into a vacant cabin, $5.99.
Hmm.
Uh, and she wants to file for a divorce. And Ray is saying that you're crazy, basically to walk away from their marriage. And he says, "Don't come crawling back to him." And she says, "You'll never change." Boom. Okay.
Did she so
Why?
she
Yeah.
didn't know where Ray went, or
No.
Roy or
No.
whatever his name is, right?
Mm-mm.
Like, she just knows that he went somewhere, and
Yeah.
he, in theory, was gone for what? Like, where does Roy is
20
he
minutes. He
coming right
walked
back?
around. No, he probably walked around the ship, you
Oh,
know.
right, because that's the morning she wants the divorce, because he got up
Right.
and had a swim.
Yeah.
So she what, stewed all night and then
Apparently.
that's so weird. He's on cocaine too. Like,
Oh,
why is
he's
he
a
up so early?
maniac. It's just a maniac. He never went to
Um,
sleep.
that's the most indoor yelling I think we've heard. Like, when he yells at her at the end, that would be jarring if
Oh,
I was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the next room.
Yeah, I didn't, not a
No, he
fan.
sucks. He
He
sucks.
sucks. He's not a fan. Not
No.
a fan of that guy.
Well, at least they
We're
redeem him by doing
by
almost
default,
nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't deserve that redemption.
No, he didn't.
Not at all. He should have been in the brig or something, or keel hauled, or one of those wonderful
He should
things.
have killed all of them. I would have
He
been okay
should
with
have.
that.
He wouldn't have made it. He's an older gentleman too. He wouldn't have done well with keel hauling, I don't
I
think.
don't think anyone's making it age
Just
regardless.
saying. Yeah, especially not anyone. Yeah.
No, yeah.
We're back to Captain Steubing and his quote unquote crew meeting. He's ripping into Doc for not treating a single patient. Uh, he's asking Isaac how many maraschino cherries he uses each cruise. And then the last one, Julie, for not waking up sleeping passengers to tell them to ask them to join an activity.
I get what they're going for, but this
Yeah,
is
but
like,
he's just out of his
yeah, it just
mind.
again, it makes him look like a stupid petty man. There are ways to connotate crankiness without making your lead character look like an idiot.
Well, it certainly doesn't foster loyalty to somebody who's like clearly out of his mind.
Right.
This is how
Right.
mutinies happen. Next day, oh, is episode 24
It's
mutiny?
Captain Queeg. It's
Be awesome. Bob Crane boards the ship Greenpeace style and takes over.
all right. That's enough. That's
All
enough
right.
stewing.
All right. He orders them out of the office, and then they're kind of out of the area. Doc's kind of explaining, like, look, he hasn't eaten since yesterday, so they come up with some plan.
Classic TV. I don't think we've had a classic TV. I have a plan. Let's whisper, mumble until
Love
the
it.
commercial break.
Love it.
I really did not much Julie this week, right? Like,
No,
she
no. Very
probably
light.
maybe the lightest Julie episode we've had,
She didn't want
which
anything
is
to do with it.
fine. Everybody gets a couple of weeks off, but
Sure.
the little bit with her kind of like waiting for Gopher to unveil his plan was pretty funny. I thought that was
Yeah.
actually like a nice little piece of comedy. So
I like that feel in the Love Boat thing. I
yeah,
love that when they with the whole gin thing last week, and then I love when they all work together.
I was gonna say when those four actually are all in the same
Yeah,
scene, and it's not
they're
some
great.
creepy hornball scene. It's actually pretty good.
I agree.
So yeah.
So let's see what this. We didn't have to wait long to see what they did, because the very next scene, Captain Steubing's getting dressed. He puts his pants on. And notice that they're much looser than they were before. He gets on his scale, and he sees that he's lost 15 pounds. Let me just say, I always thought that if you're going to operate a giant like machine that's carrying human lives at sea where we
Yeah.
don't breathe air. You should have, attention to detail should be something in your bag of skills.
Yeah.
Just driving it, just come on, dude. And then when
Yeah.
you got
This
off it, you
scale,
didn't notice when it's just negative
that's a good point.
15.
I'm already 15 pounds. Yeah.
Like, what? So dumb.
It's like, are some of the measuring tools on the bridge also gonna
Yeah.
be misread there?
What
Like,
direction are we really going? Welcome to Hawaii. Same thing.
oh,
That evening, a very confident string being Steubing is dancing with Jocelyn. And boy, the crew is just laughing about how they tricked this stupid SOB into thinking he lost 15 pounds.
I like that they immediately point out that he ate, 30 dinners.
He went crazy.
It's
Oh,
like,
God.
dude, you were already dancing with her yesterday. Now you're dancing with her today. You could have been eating the whole time. It doesn't matter. Like,
It's just so, it's just funny. But again, I love the crew working together. And I love the
yeah,
fact that they're like, this dummy.
this idiot. Yeah, I like it way better. And it is funny. We've talked about how inconsistent everything has been.
Sure.
But I would say the majority of the crew Steubing interactions is this kind of like looking at him as a weird bipolar person who they don't Inspector Gadget him. They like do respect him in a way like they have to, but they don't look at him in some sort of reverence, I think, that would actually probably ruin the show.
Is he the equivalent, oh boy, of Commandant Lassard in the police academy? Is he that, or is
Yeah,
that
there's a
too
world where it
much?
is. But but again, it's the inconsistency.
Yeah.
I bet you if you lined up everything throughout the whole season, he probably falls definitely more on the like 50% more. He's that
Mm,
guy. I don't know if it's the majority of what he is, but like, yeah, that is kind of what it is. But they don't lean into it enough to make it count. Like
no.
some weeks he's like last or whatever, a few weeks ago when he's busting up the poker or the gin ring, he was coming off as like he figured it out and all that stuff. So
Authoritarian, right.
right. So they just need to pick one, whatever it is, and let the people bounce off that as opposed to him just jumping around from week to week because then you have to jump everybody around from week to week.
It's almost like I wonder if their theory is, well, as long as he's captain-like in the first episode of the season and the last episode of the season, then at least, we're checking that box, but he's just a joke.
I think we've really established that there is no show Bible here, at least in
Mm-mm,
season 1,
no.
and I do think has been to the detriment of easy wins for the
Absolutely.
show,
It
so
doesn't have to be this hard. It
mm-mm.
really doesn't.
No, no, because it's just a tone. It's just
Yeah.
your storylines can almost exist no matter what, but it's the
Mhm.
tone and how they're
Absolutely.
shown, right? So
I agree. Well, the band plays, another upbeat number. They play "The Way We Were" for sad Nate and equally sad Roberta.
it
Nate
would have been
says
great if
that
they
was
would have spun around and it was that Brian guy singing it.
whispering in everyone's ear. I'm gonna it's just awful. Ugh. Yeah, Nate says that was his wife's favorite song.
Of
And
course
they
it
just
was.
of course it was.
It's no one
She
who's
loved every
alive's
sad
favorite
song.
song.
How is that her all right. Yeah, so the 2 decide to go spread, let's go be sad outside. Nothing really. While dancing, Jill is telling Bill that they have to talk later, but he's just saying that they can't talk, but they can talk about it later, essentially. Really weird
Yeah.
quick scene. Uh, Nate tells Roberta that his wife was a once in a lifetime soulmate who spoiled him for all other women. Sad Roberta argues that somewhere in the world is a woman who needs all the love he has to give. And here's where Nate kind of like goes in for like a smooch almost. And then this rando couple comes up and they like stand uncomfortably close to this sad Nate and Roberta, which snaps them out of it. And they're like, "Oh, I forgot we're way too sad for this." And they decide, hey, you want to go dancing? And she's like, "No, I'm ready to call it a night." Scene. And they just walk back to their rooms.
So
And that
bad.
essentially
It's
wraps up their cruise.
it's so bad. And I do think some of it is the acting, a lot of it's the storytelling, but it's like
Just crap.
there was no you're right. That is the most progress we got was this maybe Nate was gonna smooch, but these
Nope.
people decided to take a picture at the worst place on the
Oh,
boat.
what are
Like,
you taking a picture of? It's nighttime. Oh, the moon? You're gonna get
yeah.
a picture of the moon with some little garbage camera? Okay. So dumb. Um,
Oh, you know what?
hmm,
Because my theory is that their spouses are not dead. so maybe it is Bob and Jesse, the late widowers, significant others, and they were just making sure that they
mm,
weren't having a good time.
the ghost of
Not even ghost. I think they faked their deaths because these two are
oh,
so boring and
like double
sad.
amnesia. Yeah, but in
Yeah,
this world, they'd be so dumb, they would keep their original wedding rings on that
I
had, like,
saw
Love
I
Roberta
saw
on it.
zero evidence that these two widowers were fun before the death of their loved one. So
0%. Like, you're not going from 100% of fun to 0 fun.
nope. I mean, it wasn't
Thank
even like the
goodness for
best
books.
Agatha it wasn't even a good Agatha Christie book. It was first.
Back to Bill and Jill. Bill asked Jill what's going on. You wanted to know what she wanted to talk about. Just as creepy Ray, walks over
Now, what
and
did you
says
think was
hi.
going to happen?
I thought he was going to lure it over her. I didn't think he was going to say anything to Bill. I thought he was going to lure it over her, like
Like, do
almost say it.
something, right? At least make
Yeah,
it close.
something. Make a threat, but not a threat. You know what I mean? To her, like,
He was such a creep
yeah,
that I thought there was a shot he was gonna be drunk and
get all
say
ballsy.
something,
Yeah.
and then Bill was like, "I'm confused," or whatever. I was also hoping that Dolly showed up and just hit him with an orange.
That's funny. I thought Bill might punch him. But then I was like, well, he's too old to be punched. Like in this short thing, like maybe he would do
Yeah,
something
which is a shame
disrespectful. But
because
like,
he should have been punched.
yeah, you just
Or
can't.
at least pocket pistol whipped. He should have at least been
uh,
pocketbook whipped. So
It's just funny because he's the second Ray that deserved to be punched on this during this season.
we only we've only
Shout
had
out Ray
2
Willis.
acts of physical violence. I think we call for them a lot more
Yeah,
than
yeah,
so.
yeah. We need more of that. Basically, so he's telling Bill that he and Jill know each other. They've done lots of real estate deals together, so he doesn't blow her spot. Bill's called away to take a phone call, and he says,
What
"I guess
time
the
is it
coffee
that Bill's
machine
getting a
broke."
business
Hmm?
call? Like,
Uh, yeah, like what?
Bill's
Once he's
secretary
out.
is working at, like, midnight? Like,
Oh, well, and Bill says the phone call from his secretary, and he's like, "I guess the coffee machine broke," and I'm like, "Oh, it's 1978. That's right. Okay." Once Bill's gone, Jill asks Ray why he didn't tell Bill her secret, and Ray said, he didn't see a point in ruining her life. Says his wife walked out, but how he's not going to change. Jill, she's like Switzerland. She says, if I can leave hooking or the world of prostitution, then you can change for the better too, creepy Ray. And then Ray's just like, oh, it just dawned on me that she's my entire world based on the words of an ex prostitute who I had a weird relationship with. And Jill says, wait, don't wait till it's too late to woo her back. And he calls her one hell of a lady and cuts in on Doc. Uh, and then he's just telling her, like, oh, that extra cabinet space, I'm going to build that when I get home. Not like, hey, I'm sorry for being a scumbag and a creep. And he says he doesn't want to lose her, and he's going to do all this stuff around the house. She calls off the divorce and says she loves him. Why, Myrna is a fool.
So, couple
Mm.
couple flaws with this awful scene.
Really?
So, when Bill asks Ray, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
how they know each other, right?
Right.
And Roy takes like an hour and a half to answer. Like, wouldn't that
Yeah, like
lead
what's really going
suspicion
on
if you're
here?
Bill? Like, you're just like,
Bill's
hey,
like, you guys are
hey,
full
how
of
do you
shit.
guys know each other? And Roy's like, So,
Real estate.
um,
Really? Well, that really rolls off the tongue there.
and then if Roy had this revelation, right, about
Yeah.
how he's not going to bust up their lives because his life has already been busted up, why did he go over in the first place? Right? Like,
Right. What's the point?
awful.
Bill. Yeah.
I
Well.
watched,
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
watched this with my wife. Well, I watched this scene with her because she was going through the room. And when Roy apologized to Myrna and tried to get back with all his
Yeah.
promises of cleaning out closets, she just said insufficient. So that was her opinion of
Pretty much
this.
wraps it up right there. I can't argue with that. That's funny. Bill returns to the bar following his super important work phone call and tells Jill that despite the fact that he's got a big deal going, he's working on, he's more interested in spending time with her. Jill again says we need to talk. He said he needs to talk about her past. And he says that phone call, I think, was prostitute related. Like he got somebody gave him a heads up. And he's like, I don't care. Yeah, something that's too. And I didn't think about that till just now. He says, I'm not interested in anything you did prior to meeting me. What? Really?
So
You don't have one question, Bill? Nothing. Come on, man. And then gives her a passionate, he says, I love you, and gives her some smooches.
so do you
Something.
think Bill's call was from his hooker? Like, what
No, I
is
think it was from, what's her face?
Myrna?
No, 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 no. I'll tell you in a second. I think it was
Dolly?
Dolly. Dolly.
Oh no.
Dolly's blowing the spot because she doesn't have any good pitches to hit anymore. She doesn't have any protection in the lineup. Like, she got nothing. Nobody wants to hang out with Dolly.
Oh,
She gives
poor
horrible
Dolly.
gifts, like oranges. Says, "I love you," gives her a smooch. Alright, well, that's a nice alright. Oof, trying to get through this one here. String Bean and Jocelyn are doing some weird cheerleader routine, and then
Yeah,
they're
who
hugging. Like,
who wants to see that?
what are you guys doing? It's all out in the like, you're at work. You're at work.
It's like glory days. Like, it's just
It is. It's just this weird. It's 30 years. Like, come on. Uh, the two hug and they agree that neither one has felt this happy or content in quite some time. They smooch. And he
this counts.
confesses. Yeah.
This counts. Okay. So he's on the
What?
board. So you were right.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
Stubing on the board before the end of the season. So
Yeah. Gives her a smooch and says, when they were in high school, he had a crush. And she's like, I had a crush on you because he was shy. He never got the vibe, blah, 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 blah. And then Stubing's like, this could turn into a reality. And she was like, nah, dog, this could just be a tonight thing. And he was like, okay. And they start smooching. She just was
did
just
you
like, relationship, schmelationship.
yeah.
Where's your
Did you
cabin?
listen, Fatty?
Just,
Did you see the part where he was like, call me string bean? Like, he's like, that's his talk, dirty talk. It's
just,
like, call
he
me
just,
string bean.
call me string bean. I'm a seas.
It's like I get it. You were married for 17 years. We think you have a child. Like,
Maybe.
he is just awful
It's a
at
freaking mess, dude.
How are you
just a
on this
mess.
boat and you are so bad at wooing? Like,
And you're the highest ranking person on the ship.
yeah, you have nothing to do,
You got
like,
nothing to
during the
do.
day.
Nothing. Ship has reached the Los Angeles port. Mo and Dottie say goodbye to sad Roberta. Says that they apologize, wasn't too bothered by them. Sad Roberta saying, no, it's cool. It's fine. I would have been sad basically no matter what. Says you're wonderful. Bye. Thanks, Julian Gopher, for a terrific, terrific vacation.
Yeah, really, why was that terrific?
Well, that was
She said
great.
doesn't she actually say this is the best vacation of my life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I don't understand.
You had no human interaction.
If that's a great vacation,
You got a book.
what?
You got a
You got a
book.
book. You got a book. You got a paperback, a used paperback book. Ugh. She asked if they've seen Nate, sad Nate, and they said, no, we haven't. She thanks him again, walks off the ship. Jill gives Julie her basket of oranges, which she didn't eat them. They still got a giant basket. As she leaves the ship with Bill. And across the lobby, Ray gives her like
Like he's Mean Joe Green.
what
Like he
is it?
throws
Yeah.
the
Thanks, kid. It's like, what? Nate asked
why
Julie and go
why
for, huh? What's that?
why why does is have we seen anyone get like a 0 end? The Fosters got like a wink
They
on the
got,
way out
that's
the
it.
door.
Not a word,
They
not
didn't
a
get
speaking.
anything.
Myrna didn't get
Everybody
anything.
gets something. Like, what's his name? Chet Maxwell got a scene at the end.
Something.
Like,
Right. Off to his van. Shoot.
the Fosters, they were terrible.
Ugh. Nate asked Julie and Gopher if they've seen sad Roberta. He wants to give her a proper goodbye. A proper goodbye? You mean they each go in separate, they go in completely different, oh, goodbye, goodbye. And then they walk in separate directions. It's so stupid.
So,
Yeah.
so when Nate comes up to ask Julie and Gopher if Roberta has left, they're
Yeah.
like, she's left the ship, but if you want, I can contact the travel agent and give
Yeah.
you a message. Hey, how about you're like, she just left like 2
You could
minutes
catch
ago.
her. She's probably still
Go down
outside.
that way. She's right there. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we care about safety?
It's
Come on,
just dumb.
Julie.
Just dumb. You know what that was? Is because she wanted to get some of Nate. That's what it was.
She's got those oranges.
She's got those oranges. Outside, we see a sad Roberta looking around for an available cab, and Nate comes running out. He's approaching the cab stand. They're looking, they couldn't be any closer and not seeing each other until they try to get into the same car. Nate says, would you like to share? And she said she'd like that very much. That's it. One little quick last scene, which I didn't realize this scene was going to happen. It was weird. It was after the commercial. It was like this was another little
I might have missed this.
Captain Steubing and Jocelyn say goodbye after, a night of whatever that was.
Whoopi.
Whoopee. He takes his hat off after she walks off the boat and drops it. And he bends over to pick it up and he rips his pants.
Did that really happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah. It was like it was, if I felt, I almost turned it off and I was like, oh.
I must have turned it off. That's funny.
Yeah. You missed gold. And that, my friend, is episode 23.
The scene where they are looking for each other in the parking lot. I timed it. It's an actual minute of the two of them going like this for an entire minute.
What a waste of film.
They were crawling to the end on this episode. The total runtime was like 49 something.
It was in the cutting. You have like a scene and then they're like cutting that and they're putting this little piece here, but then you go back to this. It was not a fun watch. I'm not even saying it from not just content, but just the way it was put together was just an awkward, very like
Yeah.
herky jerky. I don't know. You're right.
Michelle pointed out that he, after a minute of looking for her, he finds her even though her dress matches the cab completely. So,
That's funny. That is funny.
totals and recap. So we're gonna have to have this conversation again.
I don't
Is
think
this
it's
the
much
worst
of a
episode of the season?
that conversation.
No, this is not the best episode of the season. We don't have to have that conversation.
Yeah. It might be. It might be. There's a good chance that it is. It's in the conversation. I think it's easily one of the worst 3. I've just now talked myself into it's in the worst among the worst 2.
It's that thing we've run into now when we've talked about the bad episodes, which is there's a few ways you can get to bad, right? You can
Right.
get to a huge swing and a miss.
Sure.
Like the characters are annoying or it's bad
Right.
execution or something like that. Like the one that we had talked about being the worst with the Courtney Steubing and the
Right.
$1 million bank robber and all that stuff, right? They took big swings and they missed. And then we had the one a couple weeks ago, which is similar to this one, which was just boring as hell.
Right.
And there's like nothing's happening,
Just nothing.
nothing's
Yeah,
interesting.
nothing. There's no meat and nothing.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at here. I don't know that it's any different than
Well, what's worse?
episode 21, but I'd
Well,
have to like
that's
really sit and think about it.
well, that's the if you think about it, right? If 21 and 23 both had a similar problem. It wasn't the swing, it was just blah.
Yeah.
And I'd almost think that's worse than taking the swing and missing,
Yeah.
because at least your heart's in the right you know what I
Right.
mean? Into it or it's you know what I mean? You're trying to create something, whether you fail or not. I appreciate the attempt, but
I'd rather
there's
it
no
be
attempt here.
right. I'd rather this is semantics, but I'd rather it be bad than boring.
100%.
And I think these last couple have been boring
Yeah.
as opposed to the first couple bad ones were just bad, right? Like the perfect example is that Florence Henderson inner monologue thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible, right?
Terrible.
But they tried something. It was bad. It
100%.
wasn't boring. It was bad. This crap is just terrible.
Well, and also, like, I feel like when we took this project on, right? The idea of the project to watch all these episodes. And there is joy in a bad episode,
Sure.
right? Absolute joy. It's entertaining. And I really think you nailed it. It's the boring factor.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm really not.
No. The bar is low. The
The
bar
bar's
really is
low, and I'm fine with it. That's all I
Yeah.
really need. That's
Yeah.
the but yeah, this I'll say this. I would say 21, 23 might be like co-worst
Yeah. I'd have
because
to
I
really
appreciate the
like
swing.
I'd have to really sit and analyze it, but it's like
It's
they're
one or
not
the other.
good. They're
No,
not good.
it's terrible.
And it's the other thing where like we could have a really bad episode that has one really good storyline, right? Like you could have an
Sure,
egregiously bad 2 storylines, but one's really good. They don't
absolutely.
even have this. Like give me
No,
one. I'll take one. My expectations have gone down, recently. So
sure, and that's the thing is if you just aim a little bit higher, raise that batting average a little bit, I think that it'll exceed our expectations.
right.
That's it.
And I do think it's hard to compare it to last week because that was a completely different
Right.
type of episode, but coming off of that, it's like this is everything that can go well with the show, and then it's sandwiched between these two. Just ugh. Like
And
put it
I
this way.
almost think it's worse because it's sandwiched in a way. It almost made
Oh,
this
100%.
one
Yeah,
worse.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're back to this again.
Like there's no way for us to know, obviously, but like if we had a season where the majority were like this, that's gonna make for a long project here. So I need
Oh,
some good stuff.
yeah, come on, season finale. Let's go.
And you're putting way too many eggs in that basket, considering most of the writing was done by the people who wrote this.
It's all I can do. It's all I can do.
Captain of the week. Good luck. so
I gotta say, Bill. I gotta go, Bill.
yeah, Bill was pretty good.
And I just say that because he didn't do anything egregious or creepy. He took a weird phone call, but that's about it. I
Yeah.
root for Bill. He
You
was a
don't think he
gentleman.
was
He didn't do anything
intentionally
weird. Hmm,
you don't think he was intentionally running into her at the beginning?
I don't
The
know,
second
maybe
time especially?
I mean, maybe he just, he just thought she was, attractive or took his shot. I don't know. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around Bill and Jill, but I think Bill was doing the right thing.
Um, Bill
Who do
was
you
good. I gave it to Jessica Walter, I guess, because she was good in a pointless role,
Yeah.
and she had to kiss Steubing, which is, you should earn some points for that. But and obviously they liked working with her if she's coming back 8 times.
Yeah, 57 more times.
Um,
Yeah,
Special hat tip to Gopher though. Gopher's making a late surge here in the crew rankings.
I do agree.
That plot was great. I know you didn't agree with it, but I thought calling Steubing on his BS was great. Now that said, he also asked about
Right.
2 widows,
Yeah.
so
He's
so can't quite get there for
he's
Gopher.
going for the big hits and the little misses. So,
Uh, this might be a little easier. Walk the plank.
Annette Funicello, get
Yeah,
off of the boat.
I know. It's a
We
shame.
got nothing. We got nothing. No offense. I know it's the role. I just wanted Annette Funicello, and
Did
maybe
you happen
that's
to
on
look and
me.
see if she's on anymore?
I
This would
did
be
not see her mentioned again.
that would be sad if that's it. Like we don't even get one redeeming
Let me
in that
see.
Funicello episode. That would be really sad because she
I don't think
deserves.
she was, but I will look at that and provide
And
an
let's not
update.
pretend that old Nate Jordan was any better.
Oh, no,
These
no, it's
guys,
just
these guys were so dull
suck the
that
air out of
when I looked them up, I fully expected them to be a real life married couple because that felt like one of those things where it was like, oh, we have to do it this way because we're married, like Jacqueline Smith one, right?
Right,
Where
you have to overcomp or yeah, you can't even talk
yeah,
about it. Like, it's
right.
so
But they were not. They were not married. They were just
it's
very boring.
just but
Um,
at least she was Annette Funicello, so it's like you had your hopes up for something, like,
yeah,
whoever Sad Nate really was,
yeah,
wasn't
he
somebody
was.
who was like a Mouseketeer and this happy person and ugh,
I'm going with the Fosters.
really?
Yeah, because Roy's a creep. I don't care what he did to try and get back. He's a creep.
I get that.
Um,
But you're saying plural, the Fosters.
yeah, because also Myrna backed down way too quick,
Very quickly.
and she also made them find her an extra room. So what? She spent half a day there. You shouldn't have been on this boat, honestly. It's a shame that you finally mustered up the temerity to ask for a divorce and then pulled it back so quickly just because he's gonna
Just
clean out that
folded.
basement. What? Like,
Folded like a piece of paper.
also, let's not.
Maybe she took on a lover that night. Maybe that's why she's all, whatever.
Well,
Her and Doc
let's
were
not.
awfully close.
Let's not skirt past the fact that Roy fully admits that he's been hooking up with prostitutes for years.
Right. It's usually not right, right. I'm sure it was more than just Jill.
It wasn't oh, we're newlyweds or that was a different time. Like, they've been
Mm-mm.
married for a long time and he knows
Yeah,
his
no,
hooker
no.
by name and can
Yeah,
pick her out of an orange lineup. So it's like
that's funny. That's funny.
not a fan.
No,
Snappy dresser though.
snappy.
Uh that's totals and recap.
Plugs. Anything to plug, sir?
Yeah, baseball season has begun. So tune into the Hidden Season Patreons for Absolutely Hammered, where we talk about the Phillies who were recording this early, but I assume they are undefeated through the first 2 weeks of the season. So listen to that.
You can find us anywhere you get your audio podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. Subscribe, leave us a review, rating. We would love that. You can check our Instagram page, Love Boat Project. Check out the weekly reels. Join our Facebook group, Love Boat Project on Facebook. And my favorite portion of the show, you can
Yes.
email us at theloveboatproject@gmail.com. You know what time it is, Mike?
That's my favorite time of year.
Time to check the old mailbag.
We got to get you a mailman hat for this segment.
Or some sort of like Pony Express sound effect
Something.
or something.
Like a Mr. McFeely bit.
Something. And no mail.
All right. Now, to be fair,
Yes.
our appeal to the Canadian listeners has not been released
It
yet.
has not been released yet.
But that's coming up. So I will be
Yeah.
very disappointed if we do not hear from our Canadian listeners. So
let me just say this. If we we had about 14% of our listeners were Canadian. And I'll say if we can get that to about 18, 19%, I will full on Canadian one episode. Don't even know what that means. I don't know if that means I wear a bunch of Heart Foundation
I
stuff.
think it's inevitable we're going to have a Canadian. Gourd. A lot of gourds.
So. A lot of gourds, you know.
Well, as Kev pointed out, as Kevin pointed out on our episode last, like cruises go up too, right? We could have a Vancouver cruise.
We could have a Vancouver cruise.
But none of it happens if you Canadians don't respond and tell us where the Hollywood Walk of Fame is in Canada.
Tell us.
That Monty Hall was inducted to. So.
Please.
And you know what? If we don't have one, this is going to be a reel. I'm going to yell at people on a reel.
Tell us, Canada. Come on. Next episode, I should say, 24, will be the season finale. A little preview, a little sneak peek. Jan Brady's on the boat. Hey, Jan.
Oh, Jan, not Marsha.
Along with talk show host Gary Collins, staple of the 80s talk show.
Gary Collins, who about 15 different characters have looked like, including Bill.
Yeah. Side part, like
Bill
general.
This week. Yeah.
And we see a returning Pat Morita.
Oh, cool.
Next week. Not as a painter, unfortunately.
Not as a painter.
But hopes up.
What do you think the odds are that there's anything in that episode next week that feels like a season finale? I don't think we're getting a cliffhanger, but
no. 1%. 1%. Nothing. I say 1% because what are they going to do? What could they?
Well, it would have been the episode from last week where they had a lot of like.
Yeah.
It felt like the culmination of a season, whereas this week felt like, I don't know, guest writers.
Or you do the monkey one where like Gopher's going to get fired. Maybe you hold out the end of that episode till next year and be like, no,
you just bring the monkey back.
Yeah, just bring the monkey back. Give him Julie's job.
Top of your head, don't want to put you on the spot here. Is there anything that we didn't see all season that you'd like to get in under the wire for next season? I feel like the Stubing hookup was like the last, like maybe a parent or another familiar. Could we get one of Doc's wives? That would be great.
That would be ideal if we could get one of Doc's wives. That would be great.
Like that's the big matzo ball, right? Is at this point now it's the family like connections, because all we have
are Steuben. You have Stubby, and you had
Isaac's mom,
Stacy, and Isaac's mom.
That's it, right?
Nothing Gopher related. I also noticed
in Kansas.
Yeah, and the Julie thing is not really consistent, and they sort of put the focus and then they take the focus off when they realize how like, no, we don't want her to look like this because now
I think the one thing. So I was going to save this for when it was relevant, but since we're talking about it. So the thing about Julie that occurred to me a couple weeks ago when I was prepping for the stubbies was we forget that Julie is the only female character. And so I think sometimes she has to play a lot more than, like, for example, they could have Doc be one way and Gopher be another way and Isaac be another way, but Julie has to be all those ways.
Yeah.
When it comes to romantic stuff.
She can only represent one of the ways, basically.
Right. And so I think her wild swings wouldn't happen if there was a second female character, right? They
That makes
could
sense.
spread those around a little bit.
And keep her as the,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
I still think it made the bad Julie episodes bad and the good Julie episodes good, but I think the
makes me feel a little
degree
better,
it made me feel a little better about it. Yeah. So,
you know,
and
because that is a lot. But yeah,
I would be very happy if Julie was kind of not in next week either. Let's just get out of season 1. No problem. Remember the good times. Forget about the
no
priest.
kidding.
And we'll see you in season 2, Julie.
So yeah, no, I
I want
agree.
to feel I want to feel the way about Julie that we felt in the beginning of this season.
Well,
That's
and
how I want it.
that's my biggest question going into the season finale is we felt a certain way about characters going in, just like you said. I want to know how they finish. Like, are they going to paint Meryl better than they painted him in 23? Are they going to try to right that ship, or what are the efforts, or what do they do to end that season if it's not a cliffhanger? Like, what you know what I mean? Like, is there
Yeah.
an upward swing, or is there somebody's pregnant on the boat? Like, what could I don't know. It could be anything. I'm just
I think
wondering how they leave it.
And I think conversely, I also think I want to see how they start a season because that is where you can really reset. Maybe you, especially because we've talked about it a few times. We don't necessarily know how they shot this thing in terms of like because of the weirdness of the
Right.
guests and the storylines. Like when they come back for season 2, they have complete feedback of what people thought about
They're
season 1,
ready to
right?
go. They're ready to
And
go.
so you might see something that is reflective of like, well, this didn't work or this worked well or something like that. So
Well, yeah, maybe they do have that time to go back and be like, this is that formula. This is what we're looking for. And maybe season 2 will be stronger as a result of episodes 21 and 23. Some of these stinkeroos. We'll see.
yeah, I think honestly we've talked about it. I think the biggest thing is if I could just get consistency, whatever you pick, whatever version of all these characters you pick,
Just
just
stick
give me
with it,
like
man, for an hour.
70% consistency.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I'm with you. Okay. Well, that was episode 23. Unbelievable. Next episode, season finale.
dun, dun, dun.
Unreal. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.